My name is Amy. I'm 15 years old. My mother died when I was 12. My father was finding it difficult to run a family of 4 young girl children, others being younger to me. When my father married again, our stepmom, Mosi, started showing her discomfort with me and my sisters from day one. After 6 months, she told us that she did not want us to stay in the house anymore and that she was going to have her own child in a few months. She wanted me to go out and look for a job and sustain all 4 of us. I did not know any particular job, and yet I had to give in to my Mosi's wish. She was happy. One day, Mosi went out for shopping and came back with a lady of her age and introduced me to her as an ayah, maid servant working elsewhere. This ayah promised me the job of a domestic maid in a film personality's house and told me that I would get a 4-digit salary, good food, enough clothes, and a 15-day home leave every year. I was told that my job would be to wash vessels, sweep and swab the house, and keep it clean. She said that I would have to work only 4 to 6 hours every day. I was also told that I might be called upon to do extra work up to 2 hours on party days, which would be once a week, and that I would be getting a lot of tips from the guests who came for the party. I was quite excited and agreed to go. Mosi entered into a discussion with the ayah. I noticed that they continued negotiations over me for quite some time. Finally, the ayah agreed to pay rupees 10k, yes, rupees 10,000. I saw the ayah giving 4 bundles of currency to Mosi and telling her that she would pay the balance in 3 days. I also heard Mosi saying that she was not interested in knowing about my place of work. This put me on alert and I felt scared. Mosi, however, assured me that I was going to get the best of food, dresses, and wanted me to go along. The ayah held my hand and I went along with her with the only 2 pairs of dress that I had. My younger sisters looked dazed, even though they would not have understood the consequences. The ayah took me to the bus stop and introduced me to a man sitting in the waiting shed. She told me that he was an uncle and that he would take me to the railway station and that she would meet me there later. The uncle boarded a bus along with me and another girl of my age who was already with him. I did not ask her name and did not know where she came from. After an hour journey, the bus reached a railway junction. Uncle took us to a room and asked me to wait there for some time till the ayah came. I noticed many girls squatting in the room. I counted 10 of them. Uncle told all 11 of us that we had 4 hours to go before the train came and that we should sit quiet without any conversations. We obeyed him. After 5 to 6 hours, Uncle came back with 2 other men. They were talking something in a different language and were peering at each of us in the room. They made us stand, sit, turn around, and also made us to do a lot of exercises like lifting hands, lifting legs, etc. I was reluctant to do that. When Uncle announced that they were trying to find out whether we are fit for a physical job as maid servant, all of us did that they wanted us to do. They stroked and fondled our bodies in the front side and in the back side. Thereafter, they segregated us into 3 groups. The first group with 4 girls, the second group with 4, and the third one with the rest 3. I was in the first group. They said we had to travel in different compartments in the train as per the railway requirements. The groups were separated and each one of the uncles took charge of each group and we were asked to accompany him. My group entered the train along with one of the uncles, a man in his late 40s, and the train moved. At night, somebody came in a black coat. Uncle took him aside and talked with him and he went away. I slept on the floor of the train along with the 3 girls. Next day noon, we got out of the train. We were hungry and asked for food. Uncle gave us some puri and sabzi from a thela, that is a cart. Uncle took all 4 of us in an auto rickshaw. After an hour, we reached there in a building where the uncle told us we would be staying for the night. I found that there were two more ladies who resembled the ayah. They were introduced as Madam and Auntie, the former a hefty old lady and the latter in her 40s. They received us with warmth and took us inside the house. There were lots of cubicles. The auntie showed me a cubicle and asked me to sit there. The other three girls were sent to some other rooms. I was worried a little and was unable to find out what was happening. Seeing my anxiety, auntie assuaged me that I would be put on job from the very night. She said that I could sleep for some time and be ready by the evening. Later in the evening, auntie came with a new set of dress for me. This was a long jacket. She asked me to use talcum powder and also told me that I should not wear any undergarments. I got worried, but she consoled me and said that she would be supplying me with the new ones and therefore she had asked me to discard my old ones. And I did so. It was late in the night when two men barged into my cubicle. They locked the door from inside, and then one of them held my mouth. I started screaming, but he had closed my mouth with such force that I couldn't resist. The other men did a lot of painful actions on me, which I later came to know that it has usually called breaking in. I was bleeding, but the man continued. This was followed by similar acts by the second man, with the first man shutting my mouth. I did not know what to do. When I could gather myself, I found that they had left after locking me inside the cubicle from outside. I screamed, but nobody came to my rescue. It appeared that the cubicle was airtight and no sound could penetrate. Next morning, auntie opened the door and barged in. On seeing the open door, I tried to escape, but she latched the door. Apparently, to console me, she tried to say that it was all for my good and that I could learn and earn a lot of money and that the uncles were very happy with me, etc. and etc. I was shell-shocked with the blood, the pain, and above all, the very incident itself. At very possible opportunity, I would try my best to run out, but my efforts went in vain. Twice, I almost succeeded in coming out of the cubicle into the courtyard, but both these times I was caught by some muscle men, beaten up badly and pushed back into the cubicle. The men who came in to rape were faceless. They were of different age groups, young and even old. Some wore pants, some half pants, and some dhotis. Some of them were physically strong and few were very lean. Most of them would stink of sweat, smoke, or liquor. They used to try all sorts of techniques over me and violated me in different ways. Most of them would start with oral abuse and then the rest. It was quite disgraceful, demeaning, and frustrating. But I had no other way. I thought that the world had to come an end, and it was indeed so. I must have been confined to this place for about 4 months, with an average of 5 to 7 men visiting me every day. One night I saw a lot of activities. There was a lot of hustle and bustle. I saw men and women running helter and skelter. Suddenly, I noticed that the man who was in my room, even without completing what he wanted to, took his dress and started rushing out. At that time, some policemen entered my room and caught me by my hand. They also caught the man who was trying to run away as he was not fully dressed. After some time, police collected 10 old women and 10 children of my age and made all of us sit in a vehicle and took us to a police station. I did not see any of those men coming to the police station. However, there were many police officials. They made us all sit together in one room on the ground. In between, some policemen came, picked us one by one and moved us out, saying that he would like to investigate us. For some reasons, I was not investigated. Later, I came to know that some of them who were taken out in the name of investigations were beaten up brutally, ill-treated, and showered with abusive words. Next day, all of us were sent to a court and from there to a jail. I noticed that all adult women managed to go out after 3 days, but the 10 girls remained in jail for about a month. Then one day the magistrate allowed us to go. When I came out, I found that the same auntie was waiting at the entrance. She held my hand and said that she had paid for my release and that the court had punished me and fined me rupees 500 for doing wrong things. She also said that she still had to pay a lot of money to get my release. I did not want to go with her, but tried my best to run away. However, she had many men and women to support her, and all of them dragged me and the other girls into that waiting bus. After reaching the same house, auntie pushed us into different cubicles. For me, the cubicle was different. She came to the cubicle and told me that she had paid rupees 5k to my stepmom and owed her rupees 5k more, and also that she had paid 500 rupees to the court as fine and 500 bucks as an advocate fee, and also rupees 500 on travel, foods and etc., and that in order to clear the extra debt bondage, I will have to entertain one more client per day. That was enforced, and I used to have 6 or 7 clients every day, and all of whom exploited me. Other than giving me minimum food twice a day, I was not given anything like cash or kind in compensation by the auntie or any other person. Some of the clients used to give me cash tips when they left, but auntie would take it away immediately thereafter. 14 days went like this. Again, there was another spell of hustle bustle in the building. I noticed police rushing in. This time there were some women police too. They also had some civilian ladies along with them. Later, I learned that they were from an NGO. This time around, the policemen, they spoke very politely. They were neither abrasive nor abusive, as they were doing their last raid. Nobody pulled my hair nor lifted up my frock as was done the last time. The NGO lady took all of us straight to a hall where 2 persons were sitting in a podium. Later I was told that it was the Child Welfare Committee, that is CWC, holding court. They asked me some questions in very gentle and courteous manner. When they kept prodding, I decided to speak out. When I narrated my predicament, they called the police officer in and advised them to escort me back to my own house. Though I wasn't happy going back to my own house, as my stepmom, who had sold me, he was already there, and I wanted to meet my father and be with my 3 sisters. One police official along with a lady from the NGO accompanied me. They took me to the village home. They were good people, very warm, friendly, caring, and very considerate. I was very careful not to be anywhere near my stepmom, lest she should sell me again. I was very comfortable with my sisters who had been suffering for want of care and attention. My father seemed non-concerned. He never asked me as to what has happened to me. It seemed that he had changed after his second marriage. 1 month later, 3 persons, 2 ladies and 1 gentleman came to my house. They told me that they were doing a study on human rights to understand the dimensions of trafficking. To my surprise, one of the ladies was the same person who was sitting in the CWC that had decided to send me back home. Though she did not recognize me, but I did. They were talking to me in detail and for a long time, asking me so many questions. My stepmom was not at home, and therefore I was comfortable at speaking. That person looked shell-shocked after listening to my story. She said that she felt guilty for having sent me back home where my stepmom also lived. She said that I was at high risk and therefore I should not stay at this house anymore with that stepmother. She took concurrence of my father and took me along with them. I wanted my sisters also to come along, but the lady said that they were too young to stay away from their father. They put me in a house run by an NGO. Today I am with this NGO. They gave me schooling and taught me welding and lathe work. They taught me how to make iron safe, iron almirah, etc. I mastered the art in few months. There is a lot of work to do. If I want to, I study for 4 hours and then walk for 4 hours. This is my routine. I am simultaneously doing my learning and earning as well. I am now happy with myself. I think I am regained my lost dignity. I am now confident that nobody can violate me so easily. And I do tell my friends and peers that nobody can exploit us if we are strong within.